Alright, guys, let's get started. Now, we've talked about loops. For loop, while loop, do while loop. Which one will we use, where and when? First, let's start with the for loop. We'll solve some examples. Friends, let's call it runner for loop. I'll be asking questions. Please pause after I ask the questions, try to solve them, then continue. Between 1 and the number 10. Write code that sums and prints the numbers. Write the code. Pause. Try it with a for loop. Give it a try, friends. Try printing the numbers from 1 to 10 on the screen. Let's look at the solution. How are we going to do it? What was a for loop? A for loop defines a variable, and the variable has a certain starting point. So, you assign a value to a variable, 1. OK. I say I is less than or equal to 10. I say I plus plus. Then I open my curly brackets. Now here, the variable I starts from 1. And as long as it's less than or equal to that, the loop continues. Now here, I say S out I, friends. So, what have I done now? Let's think about it. I starts from 1. Is 1 less than 10? Yes. Then print it to the screen. Then increase I by 1. I becomes 2. Is 2 less than 10? Yes. Then print it to the screen. Then increase I. I becomes 3. Is 3 less than 10? Yes. Then print it to the screen. Let's say it continues like this and reaches 10. Is it less than 10? No, it isn't. But is it equal? Yes. Then it prints 10 to the screen as well. Then 11. Is 11 less than or equal to 10? It is not. Then get out. Look, friends, the application is working. On the screen, you see that you have written the numbers 1 to 10. That's IT, friends. Well, you can use numbers this way, easily. The for loop is generally used in structures where you start from a certain number and iterate towards another specific number. And honestly, it's a very useful loop for us. As we move forward, you'll understand better why I say this. Now, let's move on. We've done this. Okay, we've solved this. But what if I said this? Find the sum of the numbers between 1 and 20. How would you do this? Yes, I waited for you a bit, but of course, if you struggled and solved it, great. If not, let's solve it together. How do we do it? Between 1 and 20. 1 to 20. You can include these or not. When I say between these two, it could be understood as between 2 and 19. It doesn't matter. You can write it that way too. It really doesn't matter. Now, first, let me run this for you, friends. Look, did we write the numbers from 1 to 20? We did. But what is my goal? To add up these numbers, friends. What should I find? I need to find the total value. So I say the integer sum is equal to none. First I create a total variable. And is there anything in it? It doesn't exist. What am I supposed to do now? I need to add the numbers between 1 and 20 to the total variable. So, for example, what is the total initial count? 1. Add 1 to the sum, then my second number is 2. What was the total? It was 1, right? It was 1. Add 2. Now it's 3. My next number is 3. Add 3 to the sum. Now it's 6. Then the next is 4. Now it's 10. It will continue like this. So, how are we going to do this? Here, friends, inside the loop, you will say this. The total is equal to plus. He will say good. What was this plus equality? It meant adding, friends. Addition meant add I. So what happens here? How many in total? None. How many? 1. Less than 1.20? Yes. Then let this place work. Someone. Add to the total. What is the total now? The total is 1. Again, increase I. Now it's 2. Is 2 less than 20? Yes. Then this part worked. Add 2 to the total. This was 1, 2. I added it. Now it's 3. It will continue like this. 3, 6, 10, 15. It keeps going like this. Okay. When this process is finished, that is, when the loop is complete, then I'll say S out. As in total plus total. To print text on the screen, to print the total text, and friends, to display the total result on the screen, I'm running this. What was the total output? The result was 210, friends. If you got 210, congratulations, you found the correct answer, friends. Okay, let's continue. Let's solve a few more examples so it becomes more solid. You can find plenty of examples about these on the internet. My aim is to give you a bit of practice with a few examples. Alright, let's say this. The odd numbers between 1 and 100. Write the code that finds them. The ODD numbers between 1 and 100. Find 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. How would you find them? Let's see. I think that's enough. The ODD numbers between 1 and 100. I don't need to sum them up or print this here. I don't need this either. 1 to 100. I set this to 100. Okay, the numbers between 1 and 100. The numbers between 1 and 100 are fine, but you want the odd numbers. Well, if I write it like this now, if I write S alt I, this prints the numbers from 1 to 100. Now, this isn't right. These aren't the odd numbers. So, how do odd numbers go? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. They go on like ... right? Okay, the question is simple. What number did I start from? I started from 1. So, how do these increase? Guys, add 2 to 1, you get 3. Add 2 to 3, you get 5. Add 2 to 5, you get 7. So, they're increasing by 2s each time. Okay, what number did we start I from? We started it correctly from 1. So, by how much am I increasing I each time? By 1 each time from 1. So, what if I increase I by 2s each time? So, plus equals 2. If I say, for example, if I is 1 add 2, add, it becomes 3. 3. If so, 2 add, 5. 5. If so, 2 add. Look, now run it. I'm coming. 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. Did I explain it well? So, the VAR here. You can go to different points by changing the information here. Find the odd numbers, find the even numbers, find their sums. Did I explain it well? You can easily figure out these kinds of things as you push yourself a bit and think about them. It's simple, not hard. Alright, now let's move on. When. While loop. Also with a while loop or a do-while loop. Actually, both of them will do the job for me now. I'm going to write something like this here. Friends, look now, I'm opening 3 quotation marks, like this. From now on, I can write here comfortably. I'm saying this. So, what should we say? New social media. I did something like this. New social media is mine. 1. Posts. 2. What should it be? Add post. 3. My followers. 4. Profile. This is page 0. Let it be exit. Imagine it's like this. A text like this appears on the screen. And what does it want from you? Let's say it wants you to make a choice. For what? So, you'll see my posts. You'll say, post MEK, it's my followers. Anyway, I mean, anything. So what are we going to do? The user chooses. Let's say they entered info. I want to post. I clicked. I'm posting to 1. Or I say 4. I want to see my profile page. I press 4. He asks again, like. Now here we have the process of getting data from the user. Friends. From the user. Receiving data. This is the input process. I will write something special for this. U. We will call it integer selection. We will receive a selection prompt from the user. So, how do we do this? First of all, I will say, problem, please choose. I'm deleting this ln because I want it to write next to it. Here I say selection equals new scanner. I say system.input.nextInt. Don't get hung up on this. Please don't get hung up on what I wrote here. We'll talk about it later. Just know that it's written like this, and know that it adds an import like this at the top. If you see any red marks or anything like that around here, it might be because it didn't add the import. If you write it exactly like this, it'll work without any problems. What does this do? Guys, it gets the selection information from the user. So, what are we going to do? Look, here the user will make a selection, and then we'll ask whether to continue based on that. So if they pick 3, we'll ask again. 4. If they pick it, we'll ask again. If they pick 1, we'll ask again. If they pick 0, we'll exit and say the application has closed. Guys, let me write it here. S out, the application has closed. So, how are we going to do this? I mean, how can we set up this logic? First, we need to do this. I'm moving the selection here up like this. This is the variable. All right. After that, I'm putting a while loop here. Look, a while loop. What am I going to say in the while loop? Let the loop continue as long as the selection isn't 0. Look, please try to interpret the rule in your mind. Think of it like this. If the user wants to continue, what should they select? 1. They should select 1, 2, 3, or 4. They should pick one of these. But if they don't want to continue, if they want to exit, then they should select 0. So, what should I say here then? Teacher, should I? Should I say selection equals 0? Now, if you say selection equals 0, this is what you're saying. As long as the user selects 0, the loop should continue. What was the rule? 0 is equal to this. So, if what's inside the parentheses is true, this part should run. Now, look, please pay attention to the code here. I've written my loop here. I'm going to move the code here into this loop. I've brought it over. I've moved it here. Now, what we need to pay attention to here is this. The point is this. For the loop to keep running, this selection needs to be equal to this. But sir, wasn't it supposed to exit when 0 was selected? Yes, so what will the rule be then? The loop will continue not when it's equal to 0, but when it's not equal to 0. Now, let's say I select 1. All right, 1. Please pay attention to what I'm saying. For example, let's say the selection is 1. So what does the rule mean then? What's the rule here? 1. 0A, 0A. Isn't 1 not equal to 0A? That's the issue. Look, if I choose 1, so it's telling me, pick 1, set this part equal. Let's make it 1. Or let's make it -1, for now. I mean, I don't want it to throw an error. We'll fix this part in a bit. Now, let's say I picked 1. Okay, it told me to pick. I chose 1. When the rule comes here, the question is, isn't it not equal to 0? That's the question. Is it not equal? What's your answer? Yes. So, 1 is not equal to 0. Yes, that's right. It's not equal. That's exactly the query we're making here. If this condition here is true, the loop will continue. So, when I pick 1, since 1 is not equal to 0, this rule will be true here. It will be satisfied. That's why the loop will continue. So, if I pick 0, 0 is not equal to 0. Is that right? No, you'll say 0 is equal to 0, right? 0 is equal to 0. What am I checking here? That the selection is not equal to 0. So if 0 is equal to 0, what will happen? What will the rule be? Here, if it were, it would continue. No, it won't. 0 is not equal to 0. The judgment will be wrong. Because of this, it will exit the loop. Look, now I'm running it. Look, let me move it down a bit more. It says, please select ONE. When I choose 1, selection is 1.1 not 0. Right. Yes, 1 is not equal to 0. So when I hit enter here, look, did you see? It asked again. For example, let me say 4. Let me hit enter. It asked again. Let me say 3. Hit enter. It asked again. I'll press 0. I pressed 0. I hit enter. It wrote application closed. Did you see? It didn't come up again. Why? Because the statement 0 is not equal to 0 is false. Because 0 is equal to 0. These are the basic things we'll be using here, friends. It's set up this way. So, is there a problem here? There is a problem here, friends. What is that problem? That problem is this, friends. You want the user to select something. You want them to choose something. But you've put an obstacle in front of them. Think of it like this. You're about to go inside somewhere. I saw this the other day. Apparently, they later did something to the door, closed it from outside. They put a doorbell there. Normally, a doorbell would be on a regular wall in its old state. But then they put up some kind of barrier, like a partition, and separated that area. They made it into a glass enclosure. So now, the button you need to press is left outside. The doorbells. Now, this is similar to that. You're asking the user, before they've even entered, what's your choice? But you haven't asked me anything, so what am I supposed to choose? Please, think about it logically. As soon as the user arrives, you ask, what's your choice? What am I supposed to choose? I mean, have you offered me anything to choose from? No, the choice is inside. I haven't even gotten inside to choose. So, in that case, it's wrong to use this with a while loop. What should you use this with? Look, now I'm deleting this part. I'm deleting this part too. Here, I'm writing do, friends. What was do? What was do while? In do while, with do, you first let the user in. Then you are interrogated. The choice here is not equal. None. Look, you also close it with a semicolon. This is the right thing. Why? Because you will say to a top-down user, here, let me see. Choose one of these. What would you like to do? Do you want to go out? Are you going to continue? First, the user makes a selection. Then, get their choice. Then make a judgment. Was I clear? So is this a while or a do while? When will we use it? You'll use it in situations like this. First, take the input and process it in some way. Then, based on the result, you analyze and decide whether to continue or not. That small difference between do while and while actually shows up right here. Guys, that's how loops work. We'll continue in our other lessons.